Okay, welcome to part 3 of DRO, and I'm going to change the branding. I'm going to call it the Clossing Harrison lathe because it was imported to the United States via Clossing from Harrison in England. So I'm going to change the branding and let's see how that does for hits. I think it might actually, not everybody knows what a Harrison is, but in the US, Clossing is a very, very popular name, especially in the DIY crowd. So here we are. This is the back of the M250. Kind of giving you a lengthwise. I had to move a bunch of junk around and actually cleaned up some of the greasy stuff to give you an idea of what's going on back here so we can see what our options are. The cross slide mounting worked well. I'm actually pretty happy with it. I mean, it's not gorgeous, but it gives me the idea when I recreate it, I've already got it set up and I know what parameters I can work with. So in the back here, we're going to be going with the x-axis lengthwise. Adding the DRO. We have a 36-inch one over there, and it looks like I've got just oodles and gobs of room. So from that standpoint, I think we're going to be in great shape. And let me get the scale out and get it unboxed, and let's lay it up here and see what we got. Bring you back. Okay, just mocking it up here. It's actually pretty interesting. I ordered 36 inches, and I think it's going to be probably close to 36 minus an inch overall. And here's why I say that. If you look right here, this flat boss, machine boss, it's right there. This bracket is right near the edge of that one. If you come all the way down here, there's another matching boss. Here we go, right about there. And this is, I'm going to say probably a quarter of an inch, and there's just gobs of room. I mean, you look at where the carriage is going to be. The full carriage stop, it's going to be probably an inch further in than that. So that's going to be right about here. This bracket's way over here, so it's probably about that far that it would really never get near the end, but we could have that already set because there's, like I said, there's a nice pad there. And then here is another one, thereabouts. There's one. I think there's another one here. Yeah, right here. That's too short. So probably right here. And then shorten it probably just about an inch. The other problem we have is when it's flush up against here, the reed head is a little too close. So these brackets are going to have to come out, maybe 1/8 of an inch, something like that. I mean, not much. Let's see if we can gauge that here. I'm just going to move this up closer. Okay, that's flush. No, maybe not. Maybe it was just the way I was holding it before. No, that reed head will actually clear all the way down. Now that's a long span. Look at that thing. That's a long span. But once you secure it to the carriage right here, it's going to take a lot of that out because the head's going to be where it's going to be. And as long as it's parallel and in line, you shouldn't see anything. But I did show you in the first video, actually you can probably see this here now. That's about it. It's about the bracket to the width of the screw hole long. And from there, yeah, it could be fine. I think this is going to be a lot easier than the cross slide was. So we'll have that set up. It is going to probably be a little bit strange on the bracket. The reason I say that is, yeah, I'm looking right here, and again, you guys get to see the planning in the whole 9 yards. It's got to be tied off to here. The bolt holes are here. Excuse me, right here. So that bracket's going to have to do a little hoop-de-doo to get around that to come out to this surface here. It's got to be fastened to the carriage, so we'll have to figure out how to get it there. Plenty of room. I mean, there's absolutely nothing in the way to stop that, but we'll have to do something a little bit different. Because before, we were able to do a nice square bracket to kind of come straight up from the middle of the carriage, go straight up, and we tied it right on. No problem whatsoever. This one, when we get it in there, I apologize if my head's getting in the way. Okay. It's going to be here. I probably should space that down a little ways to give myself some room to work, but it's going to have to come up from the gray part right there and then tie off here. Now I could come straight up and go to the bottom of it. I'd prefer not, because this plate right here is the one that adjusts the tension as far as for the carriage. So from that one, we're going to have to, I like to stay away from that. And I'd like to come up here and tie off somewhere on the flat part of the carriage as opposed to on this little bar here. Right here, you see it? That one's riding on the bottom of the bed. And that's what I showed in one episode where we're setting this tension right here. This cap screw, and you probably can't see it there. I'm going hands-free. Hang on. Okay. Sorry about that. So here's this cap screw right here. That's actually what's pulling up on that plate. This split nut right here, that actually is being threaded in, and that's the stop for the cap screw. When it pulls that plate up, it basically, this screw will stop you from pulling. The cap screw will go on and tighten, but the actual stop to set the gap is right here. I think they wanted like 2/1000, 3/1000 total clearance out of that one, but I mean, that's fine. So in that case, I apologize for hands-free. Right there. That's the plate, just like on, very similar to a South Bend, and probably lots of others, but that plate slides on the bottom side. Yeah, right on the bottom side here. And that's what holds that carriage, basically. Weight's holding it down. This is keeping it from lifting. So I want to avoid this guy, and I want to tie off anywhere in the acres of room over here. Plenty of room, cause no trouble. The reason for that is if I change this tension here, adjust it, well, that's going to mess with my reed head. So I'd rather just get it set and done, and then we'll be in good shape. But you can see the other boss down here. Nice flat machined boss, tucked in under the carriage. Won't be a lot of stuff going on. Of course, we'll put some shielding to it, but yeah, I think we can get by with shortening about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and we should be in good shape. And then the most complex part of this is going to be tying this off up here, coming up with a bracket. And again, it doesn't need much. It just needs something that will stay square to the head and not bend and flex, which if it's in a line, there shouldn't be any need for that, but you get it. Okay. In the first episode, I just showed a real quick blurb about shortening that thing, and there it is. It's in the bracket, so I didn't really spend a lot of time getting it square, but that's what you're working against. It's just a straight piece of aluminum with the sensing element that's put into the center of it. Okay, that's it. So with that, I think we need to figure out the bracket, and I mentioned it in the comments, so you guys have it if you're doing one of these. Sorry. If you're doing one of these things, these screws in the back are 3mm. These are the two that I used in the other one. The dimensions are in the other one. I think it was 22.83 or something like that millimeters. And I'm staying in millimeters because this is a British lathe, and by golly, it should have metric fittings and bolts and whatnot, just in respect for the designers. So that's it. So we know this dimension. I'll double check it, but it's actually pretty easy to do since I have one of those other plates. And we could even have an option where we can come up and around and use 3D printing to do that, or we can make it out of metal. We have options. All right, thanks. I will bring you back, but it looks like it's pretty promising. You know, some days it pays just to sit and stare at stuff, you know? I'm going to check something, but I think I can change the rules. Rather than having the head here facing with the screws inside, hold on, let me get you over here. Sorry, going hands-free for a second. There we go. rather than having the head facing inward with those little 3mm screws and making some kind of wonky bracket, why don't I reverse the brackets here and turn the scale with the sensing element inside? Will it work? I don't know. I don't know why not. It's still the same thing. The brackets don't have anything to do with sensory. So if I did that, that would allow me to come in right here. And right there's the sensor element there. And right there's the bottom. I would just have to come up and make it very simple bracket. Now I don't have to have an extra hoop-de-doo or anything like that. You just come in, come down, well, go down and then in just a little bit and down again, and that would let me tie right off to the bottom of that thing. Looks like I might even have a hole or two already pre-drilled, so be able to get that done. And that would allow me to not have to do a lot of hookery. The reason for that is the more bends I put in this thing, the longer I make it, the more I introduce potential error. So I'm going to hook this up to the Touch DRO. I'm going to see if it works. Now my only issue is this thing doesn't know left from right, so it shouldn't have any problem with whatever orientation I put it in. We'll find out. Hey, look, Ma, 2 axes. And this was the same setup from the other day. I didn't change a thing. I just plugged it back in, turned it on, went ahead and selected the Bluetooth for the Touch DRO, and off to the races we went. No setup, nothing. Okay, so hope you can see from there. And also, before I start mounting this, don't you think, Dan, it'd be a great idea to just see if it works first? Because I really hate putting stuff on and then finding out it doesn't work. So if I'm punching holes, I'm going to take a quick second or 5 and find out if it really works. So you can see the Touch DRO connected to the Harrison lathe, and take the same methodology. I did this the other day. Let's see if it'll work twice in a row. Preference bank, I want A. I want to back up. Got it. Connect. HC06. And there's the mill. Hold on. Hopefully that worked. Yeah, hold on, 241, 273 on the X. I can't see the camera in both places. Okay, 240, 443. All right. So, that's pretty cool. So you can see how fast you can switch back and forth. Same tablet, same everything. Boom, back over here. Disconnect, got it. And it's already been synced today, so it's back to working on the lathe. No problem. I think that's awesome. I gotta buy another tablet. No, not really. Can I run one-man shop, 2 machines at once? No, not really. But I can switch back and forth if I want to. Okay, in honor of the creators of this nice little lathe, we're going to go with 25.4 millimeters down. I've already center punched that one. And we're going to mount that with a 5 millimeter 0.8 and 12 millimeters deep. So it worked out well for the other one. The size was good. It held well. These holes that you see right here are 6 millimeters. Unfortunately, the 6 millimeter in this bracket, they're just not going to play well together. So, why not? We drilled and tapped it before. Let's do it again. Got everything laid out anyway, so. Okay, that one's tapped, 5 millimeter. It's all set. Now let's work the other end and get it somewhere close to straight. We're going to have a good amount of movement. Yeah, tighten that up. We've got a good amount of movement to get that squared away, but again, and then the bracket will help stiffen it up as well. But that's it. Bring you back. Okay. Continuing with progress, we've got the holes mounted here, and I'll be straight with you on this channel. I goofed. It was a measurement error, but it wasn't that much of an error, but it was enough to cause problems. So what I'm showing you here is this spacer under here that I was so concerned about not working around and all that stuff. Yeah, well, when I mounted it the first time, it went down like 25 millimeters. Yeah, this particular part did not clear. Hopefully you can see that. Right in the shot. Okay, yep, right there. The reed head was actually hitting the bottom of this. So when you do this, if you do, or in your own application, make sure you give yourself enough clearance. I mean, I've got plenty now, but yeah, I had to go do it twice, so yeah, that's on me. Measurement error. I had tried to encompass everything to keep it all straight in my head, and I goofed. Good thing is, as I told my son when he was working on his car and his, turbo escort and a few other trick things he had, don't mess with your daily driver, and if you make mistakes, make them small. You can cover them up. Nobody will know. So that's kind of where I'm sharing with you on this channel is like, yeah, I made a mistake, and yeah, it happened. So moving on, the next step we have is to configure the reed head right here and mount it up there. So let me go hands-free just to give you a better view of it again. So if you'll see the reed head, it's tucked in there nicely. This whole thing's going to be pretty well protected. I'm going to put a cover over it, but I don't think there's really going to be anything causing a lot of trouble. So from there, reversing it made things a lot easier because I can come out with something and come up, and I'm going here. I don't want to get over here because that's where the liquid cooling is going to be coming. It's right there. That's a little tie off for it. I want to keep it far and away from that. Underneath here, let me turn this light on. There's really nothing going on. Plenty of room. No real problems with clearance. Why not put it over here in this space here where there's nothing going on? I only need about 20 millimeters of space in between the centers if I want to make it the same, or I can expand it wider. A little longer might make it a little more stable, but we'll see. But as far as right now, I've got to measure that out, this surface to here. And again, I can't introduce any warpage into it, so I've got to get it pretty darn close. I'm fine with shimming this a little bit right here. That's not a problem, just to make sure that I don't, if you can see this, I don't want to push a divot into this because it doesn't have much else going for it. Again, it has to slide, so I really can't put a bracket anywhere else to tie it off because the head's going to be coming this way, and it's going to need the full access to the track. So that's kind of what I'm at. So I'm going to measure that up and come up with something. I'm thinking plastic again. I'm thinking that's not a bad way to go because I can customize that pretty fast, fab it out, and at least I've got a prototype I can use to make it out of aluminum. Probably would be fine, but let's get it working first, and then we'll get fancy. All right, Well, before I get too far with that bracket making thing, I decided I'd go ahead and roughly square this up. So I have my Noga holder on there, and I've got just an inexpensive Shars. I left the good stuff in the house. I didn't think a 10,000th interactive would probably really be all that necessary for this. 2,000ths over 4 feet or 3.5 feet. Ooh, that's not too much, is it? I don't think so. So again, after we put the bracket on, then we'll tinker with it again. But just let you see how I had set it up. It worked pretty good. Actually, the Noga is a very good holder. And then just configured it like that and just rolled along the top of the rail. It's very repeatable. So it's like, okay, I think I'll go ahead and live with it. Well, we're a couple steps closer. If you see this right back here, this is the adapter I made, or block if you will, to tie onto the back of the carriage. I'll kind of bring you in hands-free and give you an idea what it looks like. I kind of showed you on screen with a little movie from where it was printing. The trick was getting it offset about 22 millimeters and then getting it set to mount on the back of the carriage without going too high, without going too low. So a little bit of fussing around there, but let me get you set and I'll show you from the back side so you can get a good look there. Okay, there's a little guy right there. He's going to come over here, slide right up to the back here, and I'm going to position it somewhere in that neighborhood. Up, protected pretty well. It's got just a hint of clearance. I've got to loosen everything, but I think the time I'm done, it's going to be just maybe shimmed out just a little bit to take up that gap. But you see how close it is. Okay, and then that is also going to reinforce this stuff. All right, once I tie that off, it's going to tighten that right up. Okay, so that's made out of PLA plastic. That's extreme impact plastic, so it should be pretty durable. Of course, it's not going to do anything other than just ride there. So this one here is all locked down. It's ready to go. So we will get that tied off and then we'll bring you back. Almost done. Okay, after not actually very much fiddling, we've got the X-axis mounted to the carriage. It's pretty tidy actually. I'll go hands-free here. I'm using a 3D printed block as I showed you before. See, it's mounted up there. Actually, the size was off probably, by the time it's all lined up and everything, probably about 20 thousandths. So I just shim stocked it right there. I mean, I can reprint that block, increasing that dimension, and that will be just fine. But as of right now, it's perfectly good to kind of celebrate for the moment that we've got it functioning. Neither axis is calibrated yet. I'm gonna probably shoot that as a separate one so people can actually go to it. What it basically winds up is you set up calibration with 1, 2, 3 blocks. You square it with 2 blocks, zero everything out, take 1 block out, and then move to the second block until you use your indicator to actually designate that you have it. You count the clicks and you input that, and that becomes your calibration. So again, they're probably standard, close to it, but it doesn't matter. We'll show you all that later, but I just want to give you the idea here. There's the Y, all right, and here's the X. Again, not calibrated or anything, but that's just there. I've got to take this cable, tie it off underneath here so it will be fine. Actually, I'm looking at it. I might take it off the back of that one, right over here, tuck it in between there and see if it works. And then I'm going to tie off the other wire because they go to the touch DRO box. So that's going to be mounted in the back out of chip and harm's way. It's powered by a wall wart, 5 volts, so that will work just fine. But whew, a little bit of work. But now I have a DRO on the lathe and my mill, and we will get it calibrated, and then we'll bring it in and do some testing. I think it'll improve my speed of producing things, and obviously definitely my accuracy, because hand dials are great for those that are highly skilled. Some of us haven't spent a lifetime doing it, so we just want to learn and get on with it. So thanks for watching. If you like the content, we do this kind of content and a whole lot of other stuff. Well, you guys, there's more stuff you don't even know about yet. I collect other things and fix other things that have nothing to do with machine tools, car repair, or anything like that. There's a whole nother thing. So anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate your time, and thanks for hanging in there.